Hi guys, hope you're well. Here's our next tutorial on Jewish practices, and today we are looking at the topic of marriage, which is a rite of passage. So we talked about rites of passage in the last tutorial, these major milestones in your life where you go from one stage to another. Being married is moving from being single to in a union with someone. And in Judaism, it's only right to have children in marriage. That's because one of the earliest commandments, if not the first commandment, was to be fruitful and multiply. Adam and Eve were put in the Garden of Eden and they were told to populate it, be fruitful and multiply. And therefore, there's this drive for Jews to get married and to have children and fulfill that commandment. But there's also another reason that Jews would get married, is that it says in Genesis 2 that the Lord saw that Adam was lonely in the Garden of Eden, that he needed a companion. And so this is why he creates Eve. He takes a rib from Adam and creates Eve, woman, for Adam to be a companion. And it actually says in Genesis 2, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." And that is a quote. It's not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper for him. And so Eve is created for Adam so that they can be together and in a loving union to support each other and comfort each other and care for each other and so on and so forth. And that's why marriage is important in Judaism. So for two reasons: to be fruitful and multiply, and because God created a companion for Adam in the nature of Eve. Now, the wedding itself, the marriage itself in Judaism, comes in two parts. There's the betrothal ceremony, where the man makes his intentions to the woman that he wants to be with her and he wants to marry her. And then there's the actual marriage ceremony, which is a legal contract. And this is done, each of these is done on either side of the signing of a document called the Ketubah, spelled Ketubah. And this is like a marriage contract. I mean, you could see it as a bit like a prenuptial contract, i.e., if this marriage does not work, this is the divorce agreements, this is what we will each get. It might also say things in ancient times. For example, it might have been common for a man to marry more than one woman. I mean, Abraham took two wives in order to conceive, and so the Ketubah the man might say that I'm going to remain married to one woman or whatever. There's all these kind of agreements, agreements that have to be made. Now, the betrothal ceremony, I suppose in a kind of modern world, we would have an engagement party or a stag do or a hen do, and the men would go off and have a good time and the women would go off. So in the betrothal ceremony, this is kind of like what the Jewish betrothal ceremony is like, only it's a lot more formal and religious, obviously. And it has this strange thing where the man dressed in his wedding suit and the woman dressed in her wedding dress, and it could be a white wedding dress like a Christian wedding dress, or a wedding dresses that's quite common in our culture. And she will walk around the man, she will circle the man, and the idea there is that she's sort of saying, I will look after my man, I will protect him, I will form this circle of like this force field around him. So there's this lovely idea that the couple are going to protect each other, and the woman, and it's nice that the woman walks around the man. It kind of gives her that sort of like priority, that sort of power, which is quite interesting. And then blessings are said over a glass of wine. And they then drink to each other, and the blessings are about the commandment of marriage, how important it is, and how it is for life. And then the man will place a ring on the bride's finger, and the ring must be undecorated and unbroken, because the unbroken circle represents love being unbroken and harmonious and will never end. So that's similar to Christianity in a way. The ring represents unending or everlasting love. Now, at the actual marriage, they have this thing called the Hopa, which has 4 poles and a veil over the top. And it might be held by 4 of the groom's friends, or it might be freestanding. And it's like a tent that they get married in. And it's supposed to represent the home that they're going to share. And maybe even the marital bedroom that's going to be where they were going to be fruitful and multiply. So this is a very important part of the marriage. And often the wedding takes place outside in Jewish tradition. And this is because Abraham, when he first spoke to God, would have been outside, and Abraham was told that he would have descendants as numerous as stars. So this idea that the wedding would take place outside where the stars would be visible. And when the man places the ring on the woman's finger for the final part of the ceremony, he says, and this comes from the Talmud, "With this ring you are wedded to me in accordance with the laws of Moses and Israel." I'll say that again. "With this ring you are wedded to me in accordance with the laws of Moses and Israel." And that's in the Talmud. So that's just kind of sealing the deal, if you like. Now, the couple then signed the Ketubah, which is the legal Jewish document about what will happen in the marriage, or if the marriage does not work or ends, dissolves. And that has to be done in front of 4 witnesses. And then the bride walks around the groom 3 to 7 times. Again, this is this idea that the woman will encompass and protect her husband. Maybe 7 times, something to do with 7 days of creation, I don't know. Then there are 7 blessings said over the couple. Again, 7 is a very important number. 7 days of creation in front of the minyan. And then this quite theatrical end to the marriage. The groom takes the glass from which the wine has been drunk, puts it in a napkin, puts it on the floor, and then crushes it with his foot. And there are a number of reasons that this might happen. Some say it represents the destruction of the temple of the Jews by the Romans back in ancient times. But more likely, it's a sign that marriage will have bad times as well as good times. There will be broken glass, there will be arguments. And the idea is that embrace that, as well as the joy and the happiness and the love that goes with marriage. Embrace the harsh times, push through them. Don't be diverted from your course just because you have an argument or you don't get on. You know, marriage is till death us do part. It is until the end. And then the congregation will shout this Hebrew word, which is mazel tov, which means good luck to you. Now, there are some slightly different things that happen in different types of tradition. So the Ashkenazi Jews, we don't often talk about them. They have this tradition where the bride will be veiled until after they have been married and the bride and groom have left the Hopa. And this comes from a story in the Torah where Jacob was tricked into marrying Leah when he should have been married a girl called Rachel, because her father veiled the bride for the wedding and Jacob only saw when she was married. So he was tricked into marrying the wrong woman. And so the Ashkenazi go through this ritual as a kind of symbol of that story. In the Orthodox tradition, the Hopa is often circled by the congregation 7 times whilst the couple are in it. And again, this represents the 7 days of creation. This is something that Orthodox traditions do. So I think that's all I've got to say about Jewish marriage. It's a very important rites of passage. All Jews are expected to have children and are expected to remain chaste or practice chastity before marriage. That means they don't believe in sex before marriage. Sex before marriage is sinful. And this is true in Christianity as well and true in Islam. So marriage is a very important thing and should not be devalued. And sex is a gift from God. So it should be maintained for the sanctity of marriage, the sacredness of marriage. And therefore Jews would not practice sex before marriage. They wouldn't cohabit or live together before marriage. Now again, this may be slightly different in between Reform and Orthodox. Remember, Reform Jews are allowed to use free will much more to interpret the mitzvot and for the modern world and for model conditions, and it's quite common these days for people to cohabit. But certainly in the Orthodox tradition, marriage, sex before marriage would be a no-no, I think. So I hope that's helped you on marriage and that rite of passage. And of course, I'll be doing another tutorial soon. So keep posted, and I hope you're staying safe and well in these difficult times. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care.